Guys, just want to welcome you back for another video. And today I'm sort of doing a follow-up to that very first Bust Your Stash challenge that Dawn and I did back in January. And it had been the washi tape challenge. And at the time I did it, I think I got 20 cards. One of them was a Christmas card. That one was pretty much done. So it's not going to be in here. I've got it with my growing stack of Christmas cards off in another basket. But that one was the only one I think that was pretty much done at the time I did the washi tape challenge, so I'm not going to drag it out here. So these were all the ones, and I did pick up a few others in my, throughout my craft room. I had to do a quick, not a reboot, but it was, when your room gets too bogged down and then suddenly you can't find anything, that's usually the good time to do a quick cleaning and sorting and stuff like that. So that's what I did. And I found a few more card bases that I needed to get finished off while I get ready for, we have one craft show this spring, and then again, getting everything ready for the main fall craft show season. So again, keeping with the stash busting, I used up some sentiments that I had used the past, I don't know, over this past year and a half. They weren't too old, but I do want to use them up before I make more. Plus, I know I've got a whole gob of sentiments from Dawn stuff that I want to get into, but I wanted to stash bust and use up the ones that I had first before I start digging into more of those. So keeping them simple. Again, I've said it before, I have an idea of what I want to do, but I don't really plan anything out. And so I just kind of go with what it seems like the card needs. And, the joke is I've learned to shut up and let the paper tell me what to do. And it's true. It's funny, but it's true. Just sort of trust what you're seeing, I guess, and it'll sort of dictate which way you should go. Like, you sort of get a feel for what to add as you go along. The more you get into card making, you just sort of get that little voice in your head nudging you, use this flower, use that gemstone, blah blah blah. It's hard to really verbalize it. If I was somebody that did plotting and planning, it probably would be a little bit, I could be a little more concise in what I'm saying, but if you get along in the crafting, you'll kind of get to the point where you know what I mean. And if you've already been crafting for a while, I think you will know what I mean. So in any case, let me just do the flip through, and it was so much fun. It's just, stash busting has seriously been the most satisfying thing this year. I really feel like I'm starting to use stuff up in the room. And you're going to hear me keep referring to that. I may have already said that at the beginning of the video, but again, I really cannot stress it enough how much fun and how good it is to dig through and use up the stuff we've been sitting on. So I did a lot of thank you. It is a mishmash of sentiments and things. So those were all the ones that I had used as thank you. And then these are sort of general sentiments. I had like a thinking of you. This one I had fun using a stamp, a little stamp set, and that actually is new. The stamp set itself is new, but it was too cute. I thought it was too much fun. And then having the little quirky owl down, hanging upside down on the bottom, and just added a few gemstones, but again, still keeping it simple. So that was about the most recent thing that I used in this stuff, was the stamp set. And then this one was for a new home. I don't know, it just seemed like the category to put in there. And then this wasn't intended to be a Christmas, but when I was going through it, I happened to have a Christmas sentiment, so I turned it into one, even though at the time I did the washi challenge, I hadn't intended it to be. But again, I just went with it. So I brought in some plastic star embellishments from, oh man, these embellishments I've had for probably got to be almost 10 years now, that I am trying to get rid of. But again, because of the way that I work, I can't I just grab stuff as I go along. So maybe if I sat down and forced myself to use them up, I'd probably have a lot more used up by now. But anyway, and then so those were kind of like generic, this sentiment and that sentiment that I happen to have lying around. And then this round here are happy birthday. And I had fun using also the Tim Holtz. These little photo strips are so much fun to use. But even these, I think I've had probably, I want to say I got these at least 6 months ago, maybe longer. I can never remember without the receipt in front of me, but I've had them for a minute. So I felt justified in bringing these in as a stash busting. But I do enjoy using them. It's a really nice cardstock. So if you do like the look of scraping the edges and then inking it up to give it that distressed look, those are really good. It's a really nice heavy duty paper that they were printed on. So like I said, this last round of those washi tape challenge cards were done with the happy birthday. And again, just kind of keeping it simple or adding simple elements to finish it off, you know, like the one flower here and some gemstones and then just the sentiment. Brought in some more of the paper dowels. Those I've had, those are even older. Those are at least 4 years old, I think is 4 or 5 years ago that I got those. So again, just trying to go through and use up stuff. So really fun. So that is the cards that I had done in that washi tape challenge that I did finally finish, and now they're ready to move to the next phase where I stamp the back with the handmade by blah blah blah, you know, for the company name or my business name, whatever you want to call it. I stamp it on the back and then I put them in a sleeve with an envelope and seal it up, and then they're ready to go for the craft show. So these are all set for the next level. And then here's some miscellaneous ones that I had done that I needed to finish off. I had intended that for a wedding, but I never did finish it. So I just came back in and made it a celebrate. I had a little fairy embellishment. I did use some, I think it's by the Art Alchemy. Can't remember the exact name, but it's like that decorative, that little spreadable wax that you can use for finishing off to give a metallic look. I used the Firebird color to put on the little wooden, because it was initially black, like a silhouette image, but I really liked coming in with that Firebird to kind of tie it in with the colors in the paper. And then I just finished it off with some gemstones because she was kind of floating up there. She still kind of is a little bit, but I feel good about it. I like the way they complement each other with the flowers up here to the flowers down there. So I'm going with it. And then this was another one that was for a wedding that I never did get to, but I had fun turning it into a thank you card. So I just came in, I put the flowers in the middle to kind of echo the colors within the paper, and then finished it off with some clear gemmies. They're like the raindrop, the half flat-backed raindrop gemstones, I think is what they're technically. And then I had, this is sort of like a little collection of cards. There's a video that I put up, I want to say it was about a year and a half ago, where I'd gotten the new Tim Holtz big botanical stamps. Love them. And I do this thing, I don't know what else to call it, so I call it jelly stamping. And I had done some pulls on cardstock. The one that I ended up liking most for, it was a Mother's Day card that I made for my son to give my mom for Mother's Day. And these were the ones that I didn't like for the project. I liked them, but not for what I was doing, if that makes sense. So I kept the ones that I didn't want to put on the card. Yeah, I'm not going to try to explain why I didn't like them, but in any case, they weren't exactly mistakes, but I didn't want to use them on the card for my mom, so I held on to them and figured I could use them some other time as a project. So when I was digging through, like I said, going through getting everything tidied up, I found these. So I trimmed them down off of the cardstock, rounded the edges to kind of echo the shape of the corners of the stamp, and then layered them on some cardstock. And absolutely love the way that these turned out. I loved that jelly stamping session. So I'm really happy now that I found a way to use the ones that I had set aside. And I just tried to pair them with some remnants of cardstock, using up some of the pre-cut bases that I had that I'm trying to use up before I make more, that kind of a thing. I'm trying to think of, in all the things that I do in here, I'm trying to find ways to stash busted, from pre-made card bases to pre-cut sentiments to embellishments and things that I just had lying around. So these were another round of ink spray. These papers were from ink spray projects that I was working on, building up backgrounds. And I thought they went really well, that the colors echoed enough to make a really nice background. So I cut the ink sprayed paper down. I wish I had more in this color because I absolutely love the way these colors came out on that ink sprayed background. And again, I thought it would work so well with these stamped, jelly stamped images from that Tim Holtz collection. And then to break it up so that way this did not get lost in all of the background, I used a pale gold and some copper metallic paper. I think these papers, the metallic papers, you can get at Michael's is where I got them. So I used the gold, like I said, and the copper, and these were remnant sheets. Like I had partial sheets of these metallic papers, but that is where I got them. And as far as I know, they still do carry the metallic papers at Michael's, so definitely go check that out if you didn't realize that they carry that. And it's not a bad price. I can't recall off the top of my head how much it costs to, per pack, but it's not bad, especially if you get a coupon, or sometimes they'll do buy one, get one free, or buy one, get one 50% off. So you can get a really good discount that way. This was the only one that I had that ran out. I ran out of the metallic paper in the scraps. So I found one of the other scraps of paper that I thought might work nicely for the background to help lift it out of all that blue. So I don't know. Like I said, it works. I just went with what my eyeballs or the paper were telling me to do, and very, very satisfied with the way that these came out. And I really like, too, the effect that you get with the clear gemstones, because it looks like it's 3 different colors, but it's not. It's just reflecting the color of the paper underneath of it, if that makes sense. So fun little things that you can do to add little details just by adding one element. People might think I added 3 different gemstones to this, and I didn't. They're all the clear raindrop looking ones. So again, dig through your stuff, because you just don't know what you can come up with until you sit down and you play around with it. And I had so much fun with the washi tape challenge, and then I was so happy to be able to use these jelly stamped images, the ink sprayed papers. Just has been so much fun. I have really, really enjoyed it. And then this guy, I know there was a short little video that I put up, but I thought he needed something else besides the hello happy. So I came in and used one of the thank you sentiments that I had that had been sitting around, and just added it to the bottom here. And that's all I did on this one. But it's just kind of finished it off, if that makes sense. Like, it didn't feel like it was complete, but now it's ready to go. And then a while back, I also had a really fun session jelly printing with Dawn at Shiny Silver Treasures, her Seaside Treasures collection. And I completely forgot that black that the black toner on paper or the black ink on paper, depending if it's glossy, it what is the word? The black ink will resist the paint on the jelly plate. And that's what these were. These were her, I think of it as a nautical bloom. It's a design that she drew on her paper, and then she just expanded the image or shrunk it down depending on what she was doing with it in her papers. But love the colors that were on the jelly plate. Love the way the swirls look. And I saved, I think this is 1 or 2 papers. If you try to put it back together, you can kind of see where I chopped down the one paper. I forget what size it was. Probably it had to have been 8.5 by 11, I'm pretty sure, because it was copy paper that I had used to do the jelly printing with. So here you have 4 fun thank you cards, and again, using up those thank you sentiments is what I had most. I still have a bunch, that one and the birthdays, but these felt like thank you to me, so I went with it. But again, you just don't know what you can do. So I still have the original paper that I jelly printed with. That was from Dawn's collection, and I'm going to come back in at a later date and do the same thing. I'm going to chop it up. I'm going to use it as is and turn it into cards because I just love the way this looks. Didn't know what I was going to do with them at first at the time. So I think the first thing I did was I chopped it up. Like I had the paper, let it sit for a little minute. And then when I was doing some card making, I came across the papers, cut them up, put them on the card bases, and then kind of let them sit to think about what did I want to use them for. And when I did the stash busting, when I found them, I brought them out and added them to the mix. And then here's what you see is how I finished them. Again, keeping it simple. I didn't want to add a lot because I didn't want to take away from all the detail in that paper because I absolutely freaking love it. But, you know, I'm an addict for jelly printing or ink spray or pretty much anything really in the craft room. So I'm really glad that I didn't just rush and put them into something else because I really like the way that these turned out. Kept them simple by just adding a few little embellishments, again, out of my stash of these little plastic things that I had. You have a few hearts here that kind of echoed the colors in the paper, but I only used 3. And again, using up the thank you sentiments and just keeping it simple. And it looks like so much effort went into it when it really didn't. So like I said, just to kind of wrap this up, you know, I don't want to go on forever, but this is the fun you can have when you dig through your stuff and you do a big old stash busting. And I'm so happy now that I have all these cards that I can add into for the craft show that are now just, they're going to get used. They're not just sitting here collecting dust in the craft room. So cannot stress it enough. Dig through your staff, people, or your stuff, and look at all the fun that you can definitely have. All the enjoyment, all the satisfaction. And like I said, you're going to hear me say this a lot. It is so freaking satisfying to know that now all of these things are going to get used. I've reduced some of my embellishments. I've reduced papers that have been laying around. I've reduced card bases that have been laying around, using up flowers, and you know, just all of it goes together, and you can just keep things moving, and then you won't feel so bad when you hit that next sale because now you'll have more room. So anyway, all right, so thank you guys so much. Like I said, the videos that I was referring to, I'll dig them up and link them, so in case you're interested, you can go back and check them out. And again, the next stash busting video for Dawn and I will be coming out. We come out on the 3rd Saturday of every month. From now through November will be the last one for this year, and then we'll be off for Christmas, you know, at that point. Yeah, it's pretty much Christmas at that point. So December and January, Nope, we would get December off. Yeah. So we're going all the way up through, but we're taking December off for the Christmas holiday. So definitely stay tuned. Don't feel that you have to wait for our videos to come out to see what we're up to next. You know, if this has sparked you to stash bust now, go for it. And yeah, so take care, you guys. Stay safe, and I will definitely be seeing you in the next video.